What's up, guys? Carson Lueders in the studio hanging out with Rob from Front Row Live. We're chopping up some new music. He's going to hear some of the vibes. Let's get it.
The last time that you and I basically talked, you were promoting a single that not only was a while ago, but it was just like a different kind of era of you. And I'm curious, like, what was that evolution like for you, going from I remember chilling in the backseat singing every single song to now?
Only fell in love because she toxic. Yeah, man, that's a big jump, but that's crazy that you remember that song. That's like one of my biggest records if you look on Spotify is Remember Summertime for sure.
Tell me a little bit about that evolution because, one, you were young. Two, you were like so little too, like transitioning from that to kind of like rediscovering yourself. I feel like now you've rediscovered your music, your sound, your lyrics. So that evolution process, like what has that been like for you?
It's been amazing. I think like the big thing for me was transitioning into like being a young adult, and I feel like some of those things that you talk about as teenagers and like that younger 18 to 21 stage is really where I found myself in the music and what I wanted to talk about, being relatable to young people, old people, and we try and make it as fun as possible. So when you look at the actual lyrics, we are entering the 21 plus. I mean, like if you're talking about a girl, obviously, but yeah, we're just trying to ease into it. Nothing crazy, but still trying to be myself. Yeah.
And at the same time, like your voice evolved, your voice changed and it dropped. But, that process, I feel like it's scary for an artist just because you don't know what direction you're going to have to go through musically and lyrically and vocally. So that process for you, like kind of relearning your voice and kind of understanding it at the same time, like what did you really go through to get to where you're at today?
I think the biggest thing when it comes to the voice is just taking care of it, not overly using it. If you're singing all day, if you're shouting, like, oh man, if you're at a theme park, do not yell. That's what I gotta say. I was just at Halloween Horror Nights and I was like purposely trying not to yell or scream. But taking care of it, vocal lessons are big too. Drink a lot of tea. Honey is great. So yeah, it's basically that's what I've done. Yeah.
Did that new experience kind of help you rediscover what kind of sound, genre, music you would be doing moving forward?
Yeah, I think where I really found myself the most was when I was working with Timbaland. We had Scott Storch playing piano and Timbaland doing a beat, and we were really just like talking about who I was as an artist and where we wanted to go with the track. And we were talking about some lyrics and stuff like that. But that's when I really found my identity in music was in Miami, actually. And it was really cool to see that change from going to, I remember or Remember Summertime to a Toxic or to like the new record we have coming out, Plans for You. So it's definitely a different, probably a different lane, but I'm excited to see what this brings because I feel like more of my age demographic can relate to it now.
I also love like how many major opportunities you've had since the very beginning. I mean, from Jermaine Dupri to Timbaland to now, technically you're reuniting with Quavo because you've met him before. And so, having these major artists basically not just like being there in the studio with you, but also like having your back. I'm sure that's pressure being a new artist, but at the same time, like how do you feel that they've helped you kind of learn and understand yourself and your music?
I'm really appreciative for that. I feel like that's honestly going to be a big part of, making sure I keep my head on straight throughout all this. But when you look at someone, Quavo being on this record was amazing. I'm really blessed to be able to say that I even have a record with Quavo because I've looked up to him for so many years and looked up to the Migos, and they've always been, kind of at the top for the past 7 to 10 years. So it was really cool to get him on a record, and I think it turned out amazing, man.
What was that process like in the studio? Was he in the studio with you? Was this something that you guys were bouncing back through like virtually? And coming into the lyrics of it, like what really kickstarted that for you?
Well, I think that it all just made sense with how it happened. It was so natural. We didn't force anything. My manager had actually sat next to him on a plane, and they FaceTimed me. So then I was FaceTiming Quavo, and then I said, hey, make sure you see that photo that I sent that I sent you because it was a flashback from like 3 or 4 years ago, and it was me and Quavo. And he looked at it, he was like, holy shit. He's like, wow, this is crazy. This is such a different person than what I used to remember. And he said, yeah, send it over. So we sent over Toxic, and I thought that he would fit so great on that with, his whole space that he's in right now. So I was really excited because I knew he was dropping the album with Takeoff, and I knew they had some good music on there. So I was just like, Quavo would be perfect for this record. And luckily he liked it, and he ended up hopping on it. He sent back the track over before we went out to Atlanta to meet up with him in person. Yeah.
And as far as the lyrics, like I love like that you've also evolved in your songwriting. You're talking about topics that you couldn't talk about when you were doing the previous material, the younger material. So is this something that was just like a natural evolution for you? Is this something that you had to kind of learn how to write this way? Did you have like songwriters that helped you kind of learn and understand how to write the way that you do now?
Yeah, I would say for writing the actual music, it's definitely important to make sure you have a partner in it, whether it's another guy, girl, it doesn't matter. As long as they're giving you some almost feedback, live feedback is what I like to call it. I can't sit there and write a song 100% on my own, or else I'll go and crazy. I'll be like, wait, is that the wrong word? That's the wrong line? No, I love to have someone there with me, because you're bouncing off ideas, and I think that's when like two people can create the best together. And even more, I've wrote with like 3-4 writers before, so it's all who's got the ideas and how we can mesh that together. But for the most part, I was just singing like a random hook. I'm really good with melodies, so like whenever there's an open beat or track, or guitar, piano, whatever it is, I love to get in first and just lay melodies down, no words, and then I come back to it and be like, yo, that was fire for a chorus, let's put this down, or that was fire for a verse, let's do this, etc.
During that process, are you a hummer or a scatter?
I don't even know. I'm not a hummer. I'll just start singing random stuff, and it sounds like random words. Like I could just create a word and sing it. It's kind of odd.
How do you go about as far as like kind of finding or figuring out your pockets for every punch that you do with your lyrics?
I think it all just comes naturally. I think like when you really listen to what you're doing, I try not to overthink it. I like to just let whatever is there come out. And just whatever you do, don't force it, in my book. And everything will happen. You just got to put yourself out there. Trust me.
What would you say was like the biggest challenge for you during the process of this track, Toxic?
The biggest challenge with Toxic featuring Quavo was definitely trying to create the vision, because we had so many different swirling ideas in our minds. We were like the pool, the basketball, the mansion, the girls, the dancing. We just had so much in our heads when we were trying to make it happen. But luckily, we were super lucky with the location that we had, because it was beautiful with the pools and the basketball and the girls and all that. So luckily it happened, and it turned out amazing. But just little challenges trying to figure out, where we're going to shoot it. We shot it in Atlanta instead of LA. So just figuring out like choreographers, dancers, this, that, models, too much to worry about.
How confident are you now with your choreography and your dance skills?
I'm really comfortable. I mean, just recently I've worked with Guy Groove for like years now. And when you look back at like the past 2.5 years I've been working with him, you see the evolution. Because like one of the first dance videos, I was a little stiffer, and now you can see I'm moving with more comfortable movements, I would guess I could say. So
that's awesome. And you were talking about another track that that you'll be releasing very soon.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about this track, and there's also a feature in it. What is it about this feature that you felt was the right voice and the right artist for this single?
Once again, this next song that I'm releasing, it just came very naturally. And with one of the girls that we were working with, she actually decided to put a second verse on it. And she was doing different melodies. And then we heard what she was singing about. And we were like, damn, that's fire. Can we get you on it? And she was luckily, she was very happy to be, put on the song. And we're shooting a music video tomorrow for it. Nice. So a little teaser / music video. So really excited just to get more music out, because I haven't released other than You and I and Toxic. Those are my only 2 records I released this past year. So ready to get more out.
Do you feel like you're ready for like a full body of work, or do you kind of want to go and do the singles just because you get to experience a little bit more with the singles game?
I'm really ready just to drop a full album. I think this top of this next year, 2023, is going to be a huge opportunity for me as an artist, just with what I've released so far. And not only do we have this next one coming out with the feature, but we have another featured artist after that. So we need to throw in some where I'm alone, but for the most part, we just have amazing songs with really cool people on the records. So we're lucky.
Do you feel like there's going to be room for any like additional kind of acoustic kind of vibes from you? Do you feel like that's more of a challenge now with the lower kind of voice that you have?
You know, that's a great point you bring up. I love the acoustic videos. We actually have a single called Feedback, and we have that on the acoustic guitar. It's Feedback acoustic version. And when you take some of these songs that a Timbaland does and you rip them down to just a pure natural guitar, it's really cool what you can see because it's a whole different vibe. And, you know, I think a lot of different musicians can appreciate that side of me.
I'm super excited, man. I'm excited about what you've got going on. Like from the very beginning, I was like, this guy's gonna like be a full blown face in the music industry. And I'm glad that you not only evolved, but you're kind of creating your own lane at the same time, and you're working with like mega stars. Like it's not like just new artists; it's like big names that are supporting you back and forth. What do you like during this process of like kind of starting out in the music industry at such a young age to being in the music industry right now, where I feel like it's super competitive, and at the same time, like you have media streams like TikTok and social media that kind of makes it harder to put yourself out. It's easier to put yourself out there, but harder at the same time because there's so much new material. Yeah. So what do you feel has been like the biggest challenge for you to be able to like continue to be on the top of your game?
I think the biggest challenge for me is definitely just consistency with social media, because I feel like no matter how much you post, if you're not really staying on top of it, then your fans always want to see more. Your supporters want to see you. So I feel like for me, it's just making sure that my music can come out on more of a consistent basis, because I feel like a lot of my fans or supporters can be like, oh wow, I love this one song from Carson, I hope he drops another one in the next 6 months. And it's like, no, it should be like every 4 weeks we drop a record, not every 6 months. Yeah. So we're just trying to focus on that. That's like my one goal, is to get a record out every 4 to 6 weeks, and that's max.
Dang. Yeah. It's a lot of work you got to do, man.
I'm excited, man. This is what I'm doing, so I'm excited.
Yeah, well, congratulations with the new single. I'm excited to hear more from you. You guys be sure to check out Carson Lueders' new single, Toxic, featuring Quavo, is out now. The music video is out now. And thanks again for watching here on Front Row Live.